Hello, everyone. I know I'm a little bit early, but I was ready to go, so here we are. Um, in case you hear some romping through the house, I still have one cat left. She thinks she's a mini horse, so she's kind of running around. I know nobody's here just yet, but that's okay. All right, maybe we have one person now. That's good. Good to see you. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. I mean, it's just amazing how fast things are coming at us, right? I mean, for one, where they saying some kind of space junk is set to collide in our orbit outside of our planet. That's just one little thing, but definitely not even close to what I'm wanting to talk about today because it's actually pretty serious. We talked about Dana Coverstone's vision about November, and so we're all just kind of seeing how that goes. We know the elections are coming up. We're anticipating civil unrest before, during, and after. A lot of people don't really think that it'll be possible to get an accurate count of the winner right away, like we would hope, like normal. Hopefully, that's not a problem, but I can see where it could be. Okay, so around all of this, we've got what Trump just miraculously, came down with COVID and healed. And, there are a lot of people suspicious about that, and not just suspicious about the whole situation, but the drugs that he was administered also are kind of strange sounding. But that really kind of takes away from some of the things that we're seeing happening around the world as far as natural earth disasters. Okay. We just recently talked about the economics. I mean, does anybody else find it strange that it seems like the whole world is shutting down? Well, I do. I think a lot of other people do. And there are things that are beginning to be said right now that kind of allude to perhaps why they're doing it, right? Hello, Jeff Jacobs. I'm so glad to see you. Thank y'all for coming by. I hope that y'all hit the thumbs up button. Thank you. Got one. That's good. Okay, let's just jump right into this. Okay. First of all, there's this article that comes out called, oh gosh, it's called Start Prepping Electric Grid Prime Target of Terrorist Profound Threat, says Council. This is by Paul Bedard, Washington Secrets columnist from 2018. But in here, they're talking about 6 months without electricity, transportation, fuel money, and health care. So just kind of goes to the fact that I don't think it's just terrorist, really. I mean, yeah, we could have that in the Russian invasion, but we've got these magnetic pole issues, okay? I thought that was pretty interesting. And then there was another article called China's Xi Jinping tells PLA troops to prepare for war, says be loyal, pure, and reliable. Now, what isn't necessarily clear in these articles is are they just talking about Taiwan, or is that just where they are right now? Because there's been a lot of talk about them invading us, and that we have troops around the Vancouver, Canada, northern area. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. This article was written October 15th, 2020. RepublicWorld.com. It says China's Xi Jinping tells PLA troops to prepare for war, says be loyal, pure, and reliable. Put their minds and energy on preparing for war. Be ready. Instructed the People's Liberation Army, the PLA troops, to put their minds. It's kind of a repeat. Maintain a high state of alert. He was delivering a speech on Wednesday to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Shenzhen's Special Economic Zone, which played a vital role in helping China's economy become the second largest in the world. And I know that when they're usually having speeches about economy, that there's usually problems with the economy, which we know there is in China right now. The White House had earlier noticed U.S. Congress on Monday that it was planning to move ahead with the sale of 3 advanced weapons systems to Taiwan, including the Advanced High Mobility Artillery Rocket Sense System. Whew, let's try that one again. High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS. It's kind of what it looks like in, the letters. I know what it's called. Oh, I hate my memory. True, it's from CNN. It's a comment, but that doesn't make this piece of information any less true in this particular case. Even though Taiwan has never been controlled by China's ruling party, Chinese authorities insist that the self-governing island is an integral part of their territory, with Jinping refusing to rule out the if necessary. Then it goes into relations between the U.S. and Taiwan have grown closer despite China's disapproval. See, it's just weird, when people talk about this, they also keep talking about the United States. Okay? And that is not all. Okay. All right. Then we can move on to the Palestinian peace talks. Now, earlier in the year, we have had countries like Chad, Mali, Kosovo, Serbia, Iran, Sudan, Bahrain, Egypt, Syria, and Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates all taking an interest in some signing peace talks, peace deals with Israel. Okay? And for Christians, we understand that there's a lot of natural disasters that come with, and it always has been, with messing with Israel. So when we get to taking a look around, we can see there sure are a lot of crazy things going on. In fact, Bob Beckley this morning was talking about coastal flooding, which I had done videos on how to get off the coast just a few years ago, and sinking cities. I did videos. If you look back on my channel, you will see there is so much that I was telling y'all that was coming, that's happening, and a lot of it has already happened, and then some of what I've said still is yet to come, but it's coming. Okay? And the coast issue is definitely something that I touched on. And he says that it's got to be from Planet X and the coming pole shift. And he also wanted to highlight the blood moon and Halloween, which was funny because Dana Coverstone had mentioned October 31st. So, but this coastal flooding on the East Coast is what Paul was really worried about. And he said it's supposed to be their dry season. So apparently that isn't a good sign. That isn't normal in some way. I'm not from the East Coast. I'm from the deep South Gulf Coast, So I definitely wouldn't be an expert on their king tides and high tides and dry periods, but it's in the news, right? Okay, good deal. Okay, but the Palestinians, to go on with this peace talk till they're actually their prime minister. What was his name? Mohammed Shataye is their the Palestinian prime minister. And it's not very often that I really ever see anybody Palestinian wise come to the table and really discuss in a civil way and communicate, what they really want. But this man seemed to have done it. All right. And in my previous videos, like when I had my vision of all the things that were coming, the Texas Gulf of Mexico disaster, the Russian invasion, I was talking about all of this was around a peace deal, that they were going to divide not only Israel, but Jerusalem as well. Well, when this prime minister was talking, this wasn't that long ago. This video was posted October 12th of this year. He was talking about the West Bank and East Jerusalem. And East Jerusalem was extremely important to them. And they were talking about how they were, I guess, I know he was in a way challenging Israel to be ready to talk about that seriously. He talked about a lot of other things like the fact that they don't have uh, internet signals like everybody else does. That they talked about the settlements and a lot of things, but they were still talking about it. But they also mentioned that they knew that the American elections were coming up and that that's going to be really key to whoever it is that they have to work with. So it doesn't look like Trump is necessarily the last person that can talk about, like, if Biden were to be elected in the office, that they would have to work with him is the way that they're looking. But they are noticing, these elections are important. And believe me, the world is noticing the civil unrest. They notice that we're distracted, okay? But what is it we're really being distracted from, okay? And this is where Ben Denoon comes in. And he had a conversation recently, and his video was called, I think it was Global Meltdown. But everything that he was saying was like a lot of what I've been saying. Like the video is the earth shaken from the heavens, something like that was the name of the title. He was talking about all of the things that I was saying. And I think it was Christy Betts last time. I totally missed her comment about how when you're getting ready for when you're having magnetic pole issues and you're getting ready for a pole shift, that the satellites and the internet and electronics, yes, you will have all of those problems, okay? Even on a clear day sometimes, okay? Because the solar wind, it's kind of invisible, but the effects of it can be seen and felt, right? So let's take a look at the comments super fast. Okay, China does not have the means to invade the U.S. I don't think they do by themselves. But I think with the help of Russia and other countries, they could. Yep, Russia is the main enemy. I do believe an EMP would be their primary weapon, their first choice weapon, And I mean, didn't we have a lot of hacking going on? And a lot of that was traced back to Russia a few years ago. And they were talking about power plants, phone systems, banking systems, hospital systems, pretty much everybody, their major systems were all hacked into. Even our emergency broadcast system, like, wasn't there, like, they were saying, oh, a bomb was headed to Houston? Remember that? And then there was all these other messages coming out. Yeah, and as far as the invasion goes, I mean, I'm not the only one who's seeing that Americans aren't really going to be able to fight in the sense, because I don't think they're used to it. I mean, these when these people come in, it's going to be so fast. They're not going to be stopping for anybody. They know they've got a lot of people to get as quickly as possible, and we won't have time to get over the shell shock, before a lot of people are mowed down, from what I saw. And I'm not the only one seeing it. And then other people willingly getting into these trucks to go to these camps. They should have run, but that's going to, we're going to have to, I mean, if China's mentally preparing their troops for war and Russia's been having these drills, I mean, there's signs here and there. Maybe we should too, There's another article that said that 50% of Americans are stocking food. Well, at least half of us are. That's actually a pretty good number, Did a genealogy search a few years ago. I got back the first entry to someone called King of the West Bank. Ooh. Huh. Now that's actually really interesting. I've never heard of King of the West Bank, but that actually sounds kind of cool. I want to check that out. CME, EMP, right? Either one of those. Watch Northwest, North Border. I've always heard they'd be coming in through Canada from Alaska, and that there would be bombs coming in on the East Coast and the West Coast, and that it would happen right after a major disaster, right? Okay, and this is where we get back into Stephen Ben Denoon's conversation, because this is what really blew my mind. Because again, Dana Coverstone was the first one to say November for this. I mean, a lot of us had seen the invasion ahead of time, and we knew it was the fall, but we didn't know which fall it would end up. We just knew that there were certain things that would be going on. One would be the peace talks, economic crumbling. We knew that there would be civil unrest. And we did know that there would be a food shortage happening. Yeah, we knew all this, and it's happening. But Dana was the one who pegged November, and a lot of people are skeptical. And I mean, yeah, you have to test the spirit, and other people, they're like, oh my goodness, right? It hit home with a lot of people. But what Stephen Ben Denoon, he's like a scientist that works for the government, but he's also a Christian, which is why, how this channel really is. It's I combine prophecy with what's in the news today. What's in the Bible, what's in the news. Is it matching up? Okay, and Stephen, they started talking immediately about West Coast volcanoes filling with magma. And I talked about that, right? I said, I'm suspicious that these wildfires in California are from magma underneath their feet, right? And for them to even just say that, and they were saying all those volcanoes over there, they should start having issues. And I know I'd had a vision back in the day about Mount St. Helens. That did a video on that too, but he was saying global economic reset soon. He actually said that. FEMA is fully activated, very quietly, but they are fully activated. Earth shifting. It's absorbing huge amount of energy, and I've already been talking about that too. We know that. Face catastrophe, Earth event will cause mass loss of life. So he's saying this big, big event. Now, at first, he's not talking about when, but he's definitely talking about what, right? But he does get into when. And he also talks about troops coming into America at the same time. But anyway, don't let me get too far ahead, right? Mass loss of life. So he's saying that there will be a catastrophic Earth event in the United States and then shortly after. And that's what everybody in prophecy has been saying. Anybody who's had a vision about this has been saying the same thing. There's going to be some kind of catastrophe. America's going to be kind of reeling from that, dealing with internal issues when the troops come in. All right. And I always knew it'd be in the fall and on a clear day, just like 9/11. You remember how clear that day was? That's how clear it was on this day too. Right? I mean, who would want to come in anyway during the middle of a hurricane or blizzard or something anyway, right? Okay, so I took more notes on this, right? Because he was talking a lot. Okay. Loss of life, mostly weather related. Northwest U.S. winds, you're going to start seeing winds in excess of 100 miles per hour. Nebraska is a major example of that right now. There's an unusual amount of hurricanes this year that already happened. That was a sign. He's talking about the pole shift that's coming and all the signs that come with that. Okay. And he was talking about how the binary solar system that we're in, Planet X, Nibiru, and it's all of its moons, how close it is to us. Okay. And gosh, I don't want to get too far ahead, but he says that I don't know if it was like the tilt of the Earth or the tilt of the solar system was tilted by 6 degrees somehow already. Yeah. China's getting into a lot of buying, isn't? Wow, Ezekiel dreams. That must be really wild. I would love to hear about those sometime. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where did we end up? Okay, asteroids. It says they're small now. It'll go on for 2 years. Over 2 years, it will increase. All right. And that number is really important because he attached that to Nibiru getting here, and he also attached that to the pole shift happening at the very same time, and just a little over 2 years. I was like, okay. This guy works for the government. He has government peeps and everything. And okay. He said during those 2 years, earthquakes and volcanoes. We'll have problems with that, increasing problems. Why? Because the poles, Earth is absorbing energy from not just the solar minimum, but a debris cloud. But see, later on in the conversation, he mentions that the debris cloud is what is being pushed ahead of Nibiru, Planet X, because there's a large force, right? And so it's going to have things being pushed ahead, and it's going to have a drag behind it. So we're going to get pelted before, during, and after. Okay. It is heating core. Ocean is absorbing the energy, a lot of it. Crust is beginning to move. He's saying that is a fact. Government is quietly in a state of emergency, but they're hiding it, and that they had like some sort of deadline, some kind of emergency to happen between June of this year and next year. They said like 6 months to a year and a half, which would be between June of 2020 and June of 2021 is where it would put us. That the government would have 2-week notice, but the people would only get around 24 hours notice, but it could be leaked ahead of time. Cascadia, New Madrid shifting, but he also mentioned Indonesia, Japan, and Filipino fault lines are moving. They're having issues too. Pentagon source says 70% or greater of massive earthquake weeks or months away. Now, you can tell he's everything. Okay, I think he's trying to say it soon, and it just becomes more and more clear as he keeps talking. Earth will release energy to the ionosphere. Very bad. Plasma, see, and that's what he was saying, that when the energy is released into the ionosphere, that it can release a charge of plasma lightning that can cause huge holes down to the mantle, right? And that these plasma lightning strikes are like trillions of voltages. Volts. What does it say? Trillions of volts. Yeah. Okay. Can knock hole in the crust and go to the mantle. But then I went ahead and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's see what's going on. Because I could have sworn I heard in the news somewhere there were some plasma lightning strikes going on. And sure enough, there was a YouTube video. I think it was Paul Begley again. Plasma lightning strikes China tall building. You should see this picture. It is like, it looks sort of like a bigger version of the Ghostbusters packs, kind of looks like that. It's a very intense lightning strike. Anyway, you can look that up. So I imagine we should be getting more of those. Okay. He said from Planet X, he says yes. He said something about things around the sun. Some guy named Scott, Planet X is caught in orbit of this. Okay, this guy named Scott, they thought that Planet X is caught in the orbit of the sun. I didn't think that was right either. And neither does the Pentagon, that it's still incoming. And I do. I think that's absolutely correct. I think it's still incoming. Okay. He said and that's when he says the debris field is part of Planet X. It's like a hurricane. We're in the outer bands and it's coming in. Little over 2 years away before the poles flip. Okay. So 2 years away, that's not very long. Because I always said the sixth seal looks exactly like a pole flip to me. Exactly like it. And the horseman coming before with the famine and everything, that looks like the magnetic pole reversal signs, right? If anybody's here, be sure to hit like, be sure to share this video, this live stream. Always helps a lot. And don't be afraid to comment. Okay. And people have been seeing, like, I think it's one of the moons around the sun, and I think it's behind the sun because it's catching like that sun on the other side of the light and casting it back this way. But I think it's a little ways out there. I think it's a moon. I could be wrong. This much I wouldn't be sure on exactly what body that is, but people are seeing it. And Mike from around the world had said just a month or two ago that around this time we would start to see what they had been trying to hide from us all along. It would start becoming obvious. But of course, you still got these people saying, "Oh, it's fake." I don't know. It's not fake. It's really not. Grim Survival made it. That's great. That's great. It's good to see you. Okay. And Grim did a video today on payday stocking up, for your. So you might want to check out his channel. He tries to keep up with all of that, and apparently his wife can make a mean chili. Okay. Okay. So it doesn't stop there. All right. They start talking about the underground bunkers. I know I mentioned this too. If we're going to have this great shaking, right, then how stable are these bunkers really going to be? Your air conditioning, your water, your plumbing of any kind, that can totally be knocked out really easy. I don't know if I'd want to be underground when this happens, I mean, whew, the landscape is literally going to change, but they are at that they're in doubt. They don't know. Okay. And even Steven said the same thing I did. I don't really know of a safe place unless it is in God's will that we survive this. And plasma lightning, they're actually working on a device to handle that voltage. Now, plasma lightning can happen anywhere in the world. How are you supposed to prepare for that? I mean, that actually doesn't sound very feasible unless you've got like an artificial earth shield or something to stop the radiation that's coming in. But to stop the radiation that's going to burst back out of the earth, that sounds really, I don't know how. I mean, I guess anything is possible. I just don't see how they're going to pull this one off. I mean, especially if we did only have 2 years to a pole flip, right? You can imagine all the things that are going to happen in those 2 years. It seems like everything would have to go really fast. The splitting of America, the Russian invasion, increase in Christian persecution. And I know a lot of you don't know, but there is a messenger of the apocalypse. There is. So again, maybe I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. That's kind of a secret God's kept from, hidden kind of, sort of, for a long time till the end. There were things that were sealed up. That would mean that a lot has to happen in 2 years, even the beginning of rebuilding the temple. Yep. And we already knew that the Jews would choose someone that they thought was a Messiah and realize that was a mistake. Looks like that's happening. Christy Betts, I'm so glad to see you again, girl. Good to see that you made it in. Grim Survival. I've seen a lot of construction at local schools. They've dug massive holes in the ground and dropped in very large concrete sections. They claim it looks like bunkers to me. Wow. Wow. That's shocking. I know, Christy. I feel like I'm gonna end up moving too, but I have no idea either. I have no idea exactly where I'm gonna end up, but I do get that feeling. Hello, Barbara Pecan. I'm sorry, Barbara Pagano. I kind of get tongue-tied sometimes. Please forgive me, but I'm so glad that you're here today. We are going to go on. Oh, yeah, talking about these underground bunkers. That's what we were doing, right? I mean, seriously, how many of you would want to be in a bunker at this point, knowing how bad that ground shaking is going to be? How many of you would really want to be in a bunker? Where would you really want to be? I can tell you I wouldn't want to be in a skyscraper. I wouldn't want to be on the coast. And I wouldn't want to be in the middle of this country. Yeah. But anywhere else, I mean, ooh, the ground can swallow you up. I mean, can you imagine a shaking that bad? That the ground can liquefy. It's like quicksand, but mud. It's like a rolling river. It's like when the ground literally turns into this horrific sludge. That could happen with that much pressure, because you've heard of liquefaction, right? That's kind of along those lines. Don't want the rocks falling on me. I know. That's probably just like their front door and what it looks like, just looks like a bunch of rocks. Could be like some kind of optical illusion or something. I don't know. Doors slide open, they slide shut, and you never know. I don't know. Okay. So we got this plasma lightning to deal with now. Nobody really said if it's something that can happen on a clear day. Does it have to be a storm, or is it just, because really lightning is all about a charged atmosphere anyway, you know? A lot of times lightning can come from the ground. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, it's good to see you, One Prophetic Touch Ministry. Good to see you again. Okay, what they were saying is during a plasma lightning strike that if an area was struck and you had a house a half a mile down the road, your house would be turned to glass. A half a mile down the road, okay? So like in the middle, you got this hole that's going down into the mantle, and Lord knows where everything is that was there is probably like evaporated or something, or just, could you imagine like a half mile down the road, a forest of glass animals and glass trees? It'd be kind of eerie, don't you think? Okay, yeah, Young Brant, he did say a lot. He was also the one that I'm pretty sure that said that when the Russians and Chinese invaded, that America would be dealing with a lot of internal issues at the time. So they it's like they missed it somehow. This nation was dry and devastated from war and natural disasters. Yep, and that makes sense because I've always heard in prophecy that, part of, you could have floods and right next to it, droughts. And in some cases, I bet there'd be some kind of overlapping possibly, but yeah, there's supposed to be safe zones. Safe zones. Yep. Okay. Moving troops west. I think they were talking about American troops. They said, is it because the Chinese troops are to the north in Vancouver, Canada, for a catastrophic event? It said the troops are for the catastrophic event, but will be invaded not long after, and that's when he said November. So these earthquakes and this thing that he was talking about, this major loss of life, this major catastrophe that's waiting to happen in America, it could happen weeks or months or in between June of 2020 and June of 2021. Suddenly we're looking at November, right after the elections, or that. So what he's saying is there will be election issues, a lot of turmoil over that, probably rioting, just like Chuck Young Brant said, a lot of internal social unrest. And then the devastating earthquake disaster happens, and then not long after, really that same month, that's when the troops start jumping in onto our shores. Okay, November. And who said that? Dana Coverstone said that. So even a scientist that works for the government is actually saying the same thing that Dana had seen in a vision. God's messenger also, and that other dude, apostle, I can't remember, author maybe. And anyway, I made a video about that. 3 men's visions, November possible Russian invasion. That's there. Let's look at the comments super fast. The best places to be for earthquakes or land shift would be bad because of Yellowstone going off or geological upheavals. No matter where you are, there's danger from something. That's so true, because even if I'm nowhere near Yellowstone, first of all, Yellowstone, for that to go off, that's going to cause the air all over America and all over really the planet, the weather to change. It's going to be bad. The weather, we're going to have to stay indoors if Yellowstone goes off. And for them to be saying that, the entire west coast of America has got all this magma coming up. They're even talking about Nebraska with high winds. There's clearly a problem from Nebraska to Washington on the west coast down to California with magma. And then you look at the earth ripping. And I think Flagstaff, Arizona had like a 3-point something earthquake the other day too, which, was kind of a rare one, actually. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of dead animals if that goes off. And there's really good chance that it could, especially with the pressure that our country is under right now. One Prophetic Touch Ministry, if you go to his video on Prophecy Club, the 2-hour version, the 1-hour mark has a map that the angel showed him. Must watch, considering angels can't lie. Yeah, I do. I recommend anybody going back and watching Dimitri Duduman and Chuck Youngbrandt. And also Shane Warren also was a good one. Grim Survival says, I've been following a channel called Triumph in Truth. He teaches from the scriptures version. He keeps Torah. Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament for anyone who doesn't know what the Torah is. A lot of people don't. He keeps Torah and believes Yeshua is the Messiah. Wondering if you've heard of the channel. I have not, but I will definitely check it out. Definitely check it out. I know that Israel is trying to name a Messiah right now, and Steve thinks that it's they think they're trying to name President Trump as the Messiah, which would make a lot of his prior comments make a lot of sense. He did convert to Judaism like his daughter Ivanka had, and basically that's that. You have to deny Jesus Christ is your savior for that, and it was apparently done in 2017. I need to stress that there is a difference between being born a blood descendant of the Jews, especially the lost tribes, and choosing Judaism as your religion. Anybody can choose to be religiously serving the Judaic religion. Just wanted to point that out. Okay. It looks like we're caught up on the comments for just a minute. Okay. Yeah. They were saying that Trump's grandparent, Jew from lost tribes, and that they're grooming Trump to be the Messiah. And, I knew about this since I was a little girl. They told us that there would be this happening, that they would mess up. But they're going to realize their mistake. They will. Okay. This is not the end of it. They're going to name their Messiah, but something is going to happen to make them realize that they made a mistake. At some point, something major enough is going to happen that the Jews are really going to start coming to believe in Jesus and that he was the Messiah and that he's already come and been born. And it looks like we're heading into that right now. So, okay, we've got 13 people, 12 people now watching. We got 5 likes. Don't forget to hit like and share. I'll go ahead and show that comment, Rhoda K57. The news is being confirmed in a lot of ways, and I also saw the video. So it's looking pretty for sure that he did convert to Judaism. And that's just even Stephen Ben Denoon, he's confirming that too. Star Sister. Oh gosh. We're basically talking about the end of the world as we know it, and the coming pole shift, and that it could be in the next 2 years, like the actual pole shift. But as far as catastrophes are going to start happening before then. And it looks like November next month It's going to be a serious month. So if you were to say here that we're supposed to have a really extreme winter this winter, how would you deal with not having electricity for your heating? How many of you have a Mr. Buddy heater or a wood burning stove or rocks that you can cook in outside and then put them in the house to keep that warm, or maybe clay pots with candles? I mean, have y'all come up with alternative ways to cook? Have you got your wood chopped? Do you have what you think you need to make it for 6 months during a harsh winter? Completely cut off from most things. Do you think that your refrigerator would work? Do you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of y'all have meat packed up. Do you have other ways? Because like, wasn't there was a primitive living? They like made a refrigerator in the ground with like clay and just kind of. So some of you might be able to try that. Raised a Presbyterian Christian, Trump converted to Orthodox Judaism in July 2009. I thought it was 2017. I don't know. That's what Google said. Okay. Yeah, I noticed that too. I did. I would call them more the Christians that he's surrounded with. They're more. Oh, what do they call that? Those big churches. They're evangelistic. They're not necessarily there for the right reasons. From some of the characters I've seen around him, I don't really trust any of his counsel right now as far as religiously. Barbecue generator. Yeah. See, at least here in the South, we can do that. A lot of people don't barbecue up in the North. I keep hearing that one over and over again, and it just shocks me every time. I'm like, why wouldn't everybody have a barbecue? Trump the Beast. Isn't that funny? His car is called the Beast, but I don't think he's the one who named it. I think it's been named that for a minute, but still. First beast that comes out of the sea. Yeah, there should be people surrounding the Antichrist that are going to be of that spirit. So I'm not entirely convinced that Trump is the Antichrist, because I've always thought that the Antichrist was Middle Eastern. But that doesn't mean that Trump isn't a forerunner. Comes out of the earth, demonic, evangelical, AI is the beast. I think that's the beast system. I do. I think that's the beast system. What I am kind of curious to see who the false prophet's going to be, Some people think it's the Pope, but the Pope never prophesies anything really one way or the other. In fact, didn't he say recently that he was kind of stepping down as voice of God or something? Felt like there was some kind of ulterior motive behind that, didn't y'all? My first open heaven encounter, I saw Trump leading the church into a bloody war that was not God's will. I wept in the presence for God for 2 days. Oh man, I hate dreams like that. Usually when I have vision, they're not good. I'm usually kind of traumatized for a while too. Ooh, a solar hydrator using a Pringles can. Oh man, I've got to watch that. Oh, I've got to watch that. That is totally neat. I'll be out buying some Pringles today. Second beast is the Antichrist. Yeah, there's only one thing that I do know for sure, is that I was always taught that no one would figure out who the Antichrist was until the very end, that he'd be working in the background for a while behind world leaders. Like he'd be there, but we wouldn't really notice him so much. So I don't know. There's just a lot going on, right? I mean, what kind of disasters are we looking for within, say a month? And then, but all the attention's going to be on the election. And I don't know about you, but I think it's like the perfect distraction. I really do. Antichrist is hate mentality. We're going to go ahead and show that comment, Star Sister. That's just fine if you want to make that comment. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You have to be pretty filled with hate to be against Christ, because God is love and His only Son. There's a lot of debate about Christ and God. Some people think that Jesus is God, and Jesus said, "Pray to my Father only." And who did He pray to? On that cross. I believe that Jesus is God's Son. God said, I am God, and there is none beside me. He is God. There's only one. If He says He sent His Son, Jesus said, you know, talked about His Father, that'd be kind of weird to be talking about yourself calling, you know what I mean? I believe that Jesus is the Messiah. He is God's only Son. But I don't think He's God. Yeah, lots of people hate for many. It seems like lately people are just mad. They don't even know why they're mad. It's almost like the straws breaking the camel's back. Any little thing is upsetting them, and it doesn't even have to make any sense at all. Everybody is just worn thin. It's like a match, a simple spark, right? Yeah, I think a lot of us are praying. A lot of us. Um, some of these places where like Christians had these lands, set aside for this time, they're starting to fill those up. Okay. People are starting to pack up and go to their spots. And I don't think I mean, honestly, I think it's really weird, this little thing with Trump recently, the coronavirus. I mean, how in the world do you get over it that fast? Like in a day? And you're just running around, you're just fine. I don't know. That was really strange. It's like, I wonder what was really going on there, don't you? Yes, yes. People are angry. They are angry, and that's part of what the magnetic pole symptoms would do, is make a lot of people very irritable. I have to catch myself. I've told a lot of people before, like 7 years ago, just from 2013 to 15, I was deathly ill. And when God judged me, I went to hell. I went to hell because of my temper, because I didn't forgive. And I held resentment and grudges, and I attacked people that reminded me of some of the things that had happened in my past. So if you're holding on to those resentment and grudges, then it's just going to be building. It's really going to be irritating you. And you're going to do you ever notice that? Well, because I did, because I'd been a fighter like my whole life. The fighting never ended. The fighting never ended until I just up and walked away from it. And it's exhausting. It really is. So whatever it is you've got to forgive, because you know what happened to me? I was handcuffed to everybody that I had never forgiven in life, and I had to look at them forever. And because I hadn't forgiven them, even to that point, I couldn't now. So that hate, oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, when you think, okay, if we're in the end, what is it we've got to deal with? The end. We need to think about all those people we need to forgive. We need to think about what our futures bring. We need to let go of the past. It is really time. We need to open our eyes and see what's happening right now. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I really went to hell. And I got to see people that were already there, and the seats of those that were alive on earth that were yet to arrive, the ones that had not had salvation. And it was not cool what I saw. Saw my parents, my brother, and my cousins, and a couple of my grandparents had passed away, but I couldn't tell which ones they were because they were so burned. There was no hair. They looked like charred logs with alligator burn marks up their arms. And I just saw their eyes. That was like the only thing. And they just looked like they were in a lot of pain. They were very sorry. Like they wanted me to help them, but there wasn't anything that I could do. Next thing I know, I'm standing on this rock and Jesus next to me, and we're both just crying. I saw a lot. Yeah, hell's real. And you can get there really easy. And when I was taken out of hell, and forgiven and given a second chance, God told me that I had to live by 5 rules concerning my temper from now on. And that was that I couldn't be mean. I couldn't call people names, which I was really good at that. um, couldn't fight. Can't fight anymore. He says if I ever hit another person out of anger, I'm done. Spiritually, I'm done. Can never lay my hands on another person if I'm angry. Yeah, I was a fighter. I told you I was. I was somebody that you just didn't cross. Lord, he changed my attitude. Okay. You don't go to hell and come back the same. Nope. Oh, yeah. I couldn't hold resentment, grudges. And the 5th one was I had to learn to live in peace. And so, like, in cases where I can't live in peace with people, I leave in peace. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I actually did share the video on video. It was one of my first ones. You'd have to go like all the way back to the beginning, but it's like, I think I called it like One Southern Woman's Something to Hell. You know, it's one of the first videos that I made. So my testimony is definitely there, and it's right next to the vision that I had of the invasion and the coming Texas and Gulf of Mexico disaster. Okay. Live today as if you won't be alive tomorrow. That's right. What would you do if you knew these were your last days? You know, some people, they get killed suddenly in a car accident, and other people, they have time, you know, to come to terms and make peace with God before they go. For the ones that go quick, you know, if you're Christian, that's fine. But for a lot of people, when I was in hell, they thought they had more time. There were so many people, they thought they had more time, and they didn't. They were gone. That was at least half of the people there thought they had more time. They didn't. So don't waste today. We are in the last days. We're in your last days and my last days. And I don't know about you, but I want to fight the good fight now. I want to be able to show the miracles in my life through God and through Jesus Christ's forgiveness, that I'm no longer somebody that will hurt you. I'm not going to let my tongue be quick, and I'm going to be quick to forgive. You understand? But there's so many things. How many people do you need to tell you love them? How many people do you need to forgive? It doesn't happen overnight. But we're going to go ahead and I'm glad you're going to check them out. That'll be good. I think that you'll be interested at least. I'm really glad for everybody that came today. And, you know, I'm going to be talking to you soon, but be sure to look for those signs of the pole shift, the magnetic pole reversal signs that we're seeing. When things are above and beyond what you're normally seeing in the weather, keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on Israel, and keep an eye on the heavens. Keep an eye on God. All right. God bless you all. We'll talk again real soon. Thank you for coming.